Hello there, welcome to Showcase. Czech literary star and former dissident Milan Kundera has died at the age of 94. Here's a look back at his legacy.
Czech-born French writer Milan Kundera was born in 1929 in the city of Brno. He studied musicology and later attended lectures in film direction and script writing in Prague. In his teens, he joined the Communist Party of Czechoslovakia, which came to power in 1948. 2 years later, Kundera was expelled for anti-party activities. This expulsion became the main theme of his novel The Joke. He was later readmitted to the party, but then again expelled for a second time for criticizing the 1968 Soviet invasion of Czechoslovakia. Kundera moved to France in 1975, where he wrote his most famous work, The Unbearable Lightness of Being. He won accolades for his style depicting themes and characters that floated between the mundane reality of everyday life and the lofty world of ideas. Kundera has been described as a poetic and satirical author, one who rarely gave interviews, believing writers should instead speak through their work. And now that he's gone, perhaps we could take his advice in his novel, The Festival of Insignificance. It goes, "We've known for a long time that it was no longer possible to overturn this world, nor reshape it, nor head off its dangerous headlong rush. There's been only one possible resistance, to not take it seriously."
Leonardo da Vinci left behind thousands of pages of drawings, writing, and sketches. The subjects vary from weaponry to botany. Now, 12 sketches are on display at Washington, D.C.'s Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Library in an exhibition called Imagining the Future.
There are no paintings at this exhibition, but the visitors get to see a one-of-a-kind collection of Leonardo da Vinci's drawings. Imagining the Future showcases pages from Codex Atlanticus, a 12-book collection of notebooks da Vinci compiled in the 16th century.
So the Codex Atlanticus is housed at the Biblioteca Ambrosiana in Milan. They have a rotating exhibition there, but they do not lend it out often, if at all. And this is the first time that they have ever come, any of the codexes have come to the United States.
Too much light could damage the fragile pages, and they will be stored in darkness for 3 years once the exhibition is over.
To the room, it's a very dimly lit room with 12 beautiful glowing drawings by Leonardo. Each of the drawings is maybe a foot wide by 16 inches tall, and each concentrates on one of Leonardo's obsessions. Again, hydraulics, digging, cranes. He fancied himself an engineer before he fancied himself an artist, and the evidence is in his drawings.
Seeing Da Vinci's notebooks in the US is likely to be a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
The fact that these drawings are here in Washington, D.C., considering there is only one other Leonardo work at all in the entire Western Hemisphere, is something that takes a minute to sink in. We rarely in the United States or anywhere else in the world have an opportunity to come face to face with the hand of, again, humanity's greatest genius.
The show accommodates only 15 guests at once, but it is surely worth the wait. The exhibition will stay open until August 20th.
It's never easy to walk with crazy high heels while paying attention to how you look almost all the time. These are just some of the troubles that fashion models go through. But a couple of Estonian designers have decided to pick things up a notch by making a group of models walk 100 kilometers for their show. Take a look. These models' journey started at an airport, yet they didn't board on a flight. Tallinn Airport was just the starting point of a 100-kilometre catwalk. So, they made a 5-day journey on foot to a remote village called Pariisi. This unusual fashion show has been organized by Estonian designers Karl-Jonas Alama and Lisette Savard, who don't want to limit their clothes to catwalks and shows in European capitals.
Usually on the catwalk you see the clothes that are perfect. They're like really flat and ironed and it's like fitted very well. But when you actually wear the clothes, there will be like holes and some dust, and we want to see how the costumes, because all the costumes are identical, change depending how the persons will wear it.
The clothes inspired by Balenciaga or Chanel are made for hiking. As the models walked through different cities, forests and villages, they had a chance to meet many people on the way.
I was very happy to meet the people on the way, and I think you will never experience this on a regular catwalk. Never ever. You will never see small children drawing cards to you, or maybe they do for supermodels as well, but being brought flowers that have been picked from the fields, homemade food or some kind of delights, being cheered.
Well, the models had to walk around 20 kilometers a day, and they all agree that it was a tough journey. But in the end, they are happy to have strutted such an original catwalk, and the outfits they wear will soon become part of an art project by the designers. Come on, Barbie, let's go party. Well, it's definitely time. After multiple writer, director, and cast changes, the much-awaited film is finally here.
Director Greta Gerwig has brought Barbie fashion dolls to the big screen. While Margot Robbie plays the lead role, Ryan Gosling appears as Ken in the fantasy comedy film.
Giant blowout party with all the Barbies and things.
They live in Barbie land, and after a strange series of events, Barbie decides to go to the real world as a way to restore order in hers. But when Ken insists on going with her, things get even more out of hand.
Tomorrow and every day from now until forever.
Gerwig wrote the script with her partner Noah Baumbach. After it was approved, she was also offered to direct the film. She says she drew inspiration from old Hollywood movies and an even older story, the biblical tale of Genesis.
In the movie, it's like when it starts, she's in a world where there's no aging or death or pain or shame or self-consciousness, and then she suddenly becomes self-conscious, which that's a really old story. We know that story, and I think I kind of always go back to those older story forms because I don't know, I went to Catholic school and I resonate with them.
The iconic doll has been subject to plenty of debate and criticism over its many years in the market. Lack of diversity among the dolls, unrealistic body proportions, and a largely unattainable beauty standard. Though that's been changing in recent years, and with the incorporation of feminist messages in its branding, Little Women and Lady Bird director Gerwig seemed to be a good pick for the job.
I wanted it to be obviously dazzling and hilarious and this kind of imaginative cornucopia of crazy Barbiness, but I also felt like actually in that state of being kind of on the sugar high is the place where you can actually, in a way, have an opportunity to be even more emotional because people aren't really expecting it.
And for Robbie, Gerwig's approach couldn't be more spot on.
It's so hard to depict life as just one thing that honestly, like, getting to hit all ends of the spectrum and like absurdity and the comedy that comes from an absurd situation and something just utterly, profound, and it brings you to like that kind of is life, and those things coexist. And I actually think it would have been harder to make a Barbie movie where we just tried to stick to one thing.
So far, the film has received rave reviews. Critics have praised Gerwig, Robbie, and especially Gosling, as well as the costumes and production design. It seems life in plastic, truly is fantastic.
Humans only.
Actors like Gina Davis lament that gender-based discrimination in Hollywood is still alive and fight the issue in their own protest way. In our movie almanac, Ali John tells us how star Doris Day became one of the first actors to tackle that attitude way back in the 1940s.
Mr. Trent's on the phone, Raoul. Oh, Arthur? You're my favorite producer, and I'd do anything in the world for you except that.
It's a great feeling is set within the movie industry. It provides a look behind the workings of the now-gone studio system, which had performers, directors, and set workers under contract for mass production, not unlike a factory.
Well, what makes you think you'll have trouble with him? Well, you know how Morgan is. He's always trying to get his face in the camera. I may have to turn him around a little. So you can get your face in the camera? Yeah.
The film comes with self-reflective humor. Big names from Ronald Reagan to director Raoul Walsh appear as themselves.
How long did you say you've been in Hollywood?
3 months.
Well, you must have studied nights.
I've been in every casting office in this town, and they won't even look at me. This is the first chance I've had to be alone with the director and show him what I can do.
Oh.
And you're gonna listen.
Oh, listen.
At the center of it all is Doris Day's character, Judy. She works at the studio and has dreams of having her big break. The feature satires the aspiring actor archetype, and at the same time establishes Judy as a determined woman.
Oh, I've seen so many beautiful things, I don't know which to pick.
I'm having the same trouble myself.
She's been in Los Angeles for a while, but hasn't even landed a single audition. So she decides to take things into her own hands and goes to the office of actor-director Carson to demand work.
Robert, they aren't doing anything wrong.
Carson eventually tries to change her fashion style so that she looks like a star that would impress the studio boss. The film critiques how women are expected to appear according to the male gaze.
Come here, kid. The lowest creature crawling on this earth. That's him. That's it. Hey, you got something. What's your name?
Also present is the theme of empty promises made to women actors. And it becomes clear that Hollywood is a place where men try to control them with lies. We see others like Judy as well, doing menial tasks with their broken dreams.
Star steps out of picture. Little country girl takes her place. Little country girl becomes a big star. Your name in lights.
Nothing like it but there.
Yes, positively.
Nothing like it but there.
Yes, evidently.
Judy feels disillusioned and makes a protest move by deciding to turn her back on it all. The film was made during the golden age of Hollywood, when studios ruled almost everything. And that in itself makes the flick a brave protest statement. Basically, the message is that women have opportunities beyond appearing on screen.
Yes, absolutely.
This ending might have something to do with post-World War II America, when society was trying to become a whole family unit again.
If I'm not telling you the truth, may I never see the light of day again.
It's a great feeling criticizes the gender roles in Hollywood at the time. But more than 70 years later, have things changed? Current stars like Gina Davis calling out the industry's gender bias suggests maybe not.
That was a big fat lie.
Napoleon Bonaparte's charisma and critical role in the French Revolution has made him a director's favorite. And now, as a new Napoleon biopic becomes the talk of the town, we have decided to look at how he has been mythified over the years through multiple portrayals on screen.
No doubt you've seen the chaos in the streets.
Napoleon examines the French revolutionary's life. Director Ridley Scott's interest lies in his beginnings, rise to power, as well as his relationship with Empress Josephine.
French victory at Toulon.
What is your name?
Napoleon.
Has the course of my life just changed? Napoleon.
The running time is almost 3 hours. That may be ambitious by today's standards, but Scott believes Napoleon has enough clout to make audiences stick around. He adds that with lead actor Joaquin Phoenix, they also worked hard to find a character that they think is close to what Napoleon may have been.
This vermin has held the world hostage.
That shows Scott prefers a character study angle. And if you lend an ear to the PR campaign, it's all a personal take that tries to capture the man's ambitions.
It's a trap! I'm the first to admit when I make a mistake. I simply never do.
The two most outstanding men of our time have been in love with you.
Of course, this isn't the first time Napoleon's life has been translated to film, and many of these representations have turned him into a myth.
No problem. I'm sure that there are at least 12 suitable young ladies left in France.
Marlon Brando's Desiree looks at Bonaparte's rise and fall by giving him a Hollywood glamour image. Reviews point out how the story is full of great decoration, attractive stars, and is even filmed in CinemaScope, but that it lacks a story of any consequence. Abel Gance's 1927 silent feature, on the other hand, looks at the emperor's early years in the military. With its almost 6-hour duration and production quality, the movie lends a sense of epic to Napoleon's life. Critics lauded the film a visual feast full of energy, but Stanley Kubrick didn't agree, and reportedly called both the story and performances very crude. Kubrick himself tried his hand at a Napoleon biopic. His big wish was to depict him realistically in battle. The director scouted locations, worked on production designs, but the financial failure of another film with the same theme put an end to his dream. Not wanting all his period-based research to go to waste, Kubrick made another historic movie instead. Barry Lyndon. As you can see, Napoleon is pretty popular at the cinema, and it only makes sense, considering how he embodies, quote, tactical brilliance, ambition, and power. The very ingredients that have intrigued and attracted audiences to theaters for decades.
The small Italian town of San Leucio once thrived thanks to its silk industry, but now things aren't running quite as smooth. Here's more.
Belvedere Palace in Italy used to be a summer resort for King Ferdinand IV. He had it transformed into a silk workshop in the late 1700s, an ambitious project which raised many eyebrows.
The dream of a king, because we have to go back to 1798 when Ferdinand IV, that was the King Bourbon of Naples, and then became also King of Sicily, decided to set up a fantastic meal related to the silk. This mill was a sort of utopia because around the mill he built up a small city with 3,000 inhabitants at the time, and all of these inhabitants were involved into the business of silk.
Today, most of the palace is a museum about silk production. Only one private silk laboratory remains. Although most of their raw materials come from China, Andrea Sabelli is trying to keep the tradition alive.
We work for all over the world, so we made some palace in all the world, like the White House in Washington, like something in the Kremlin, some chairs in St. Petersburg, or for the Pope, or for the Italian Quirinale, that is the residence of our president.
When the mill first opened in the late 18th century, workers received good wages, accommodation, and free education. Women had the same privileges as men, but the once thriving industry is now suffering because of lack of workers.
Well, my two sons have not continued the family tradition, unfortunately, because youths today look for something else. One went to Siena, he's left this town, and the other is a carpenter, something he's passionate about. But the tradition ends here, unfortunately. It has not gone on.
And as the workshop now hangs by a thread, what remains for the visitors are just a few small stores and a vibrant display of what the industry once was.
The Museum of Modern Art in Warsaw has become a gathering spot for artists from the former Soviet bloc. They come together at the Sunflower Solidarity Community Center, which offers activities like drama and music performances to heal traumas.
A growing community of artists from the former Soviet Union is turning Warsaw into a major hub for creative talent. The movement gained momentum with the latest Russian attack on Ukraine. Yulia Krivich is a Ukrainian activist who has lived in Poland for more than a decade and now organizes exhibitions, workshops, and other events.
I'm really happy to be and live in Warsaw. I live in Poland because I don't have to explain basic things. I don't have to deal with this feeling of helplessness every day, because everyone here understands what's going on. So this is such a very important fact that I think attracts people too. A lot of my friends from Kyrgyzstan, Ukraine or Belarus feel close here mentally, culturally and ideologically.
Producer Marina Dashchuk has helped organize a theater play along with Russian-born playwright and director Ivan Viripayev.
When the revolution in Belarus began and artists started fleeing, we wanted to create a project to help. Then Ivan Viripayev proposed to make a theater play with Belarusian actors, and that is how our huge cooperation with the new theater began.
According to Viripayev, Poland is turning into a cultural leader of Eastern Europe in a switch that was triggered by the Russian attack on Ukraine.
These are incredibly tragic circumstances, and it would have been better if they hadn't happened, but they are influencing cultural life. Poland has a chance to become at least a vibrant representative of Eastern Europe. I generally think that this is a chance for Poland to open up and build an even more interesting modern space for dialogue.
Warsaw is now a safe place where artists can heal the collective trauma of what they call Russian colonialism and explore the theme of decolonizing Russia.
That's it for this episode of Showcase. I'm Esra Dürüst from me and the whole team here in Istanbul. Thanks for watching and bye for now.